Hey everybody, we are going to talk about the biggest mistakes that we made in the last 2 years or 2+ years of full-time RVing, so you don't repeat our mistakes.
And boy, did we make a lot of them.
Yeah, we are Barry and Darlene Nicholson, and we have been on the road full-time. We both still work full-time, and we took off in a 44-foot toy hauler on the back of the Ford F-350 about 2+ years ago, left Florida, and we've been traveling around the country, still working full time, like we said. And we had never RV'd before prior to that.
Yeah.
I never even towed an RV, hardly ever even slept in one until my first day living on the road. And so obviously we made a lot of mistakes.
We did.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
Yeah.
So you get to laugh at our expense.
You need to laugh at our expense, laugh with us, but learn from us, because
You can laugh at us.
Yeah, that's okay.
We won't know anything.
It's kind of funny now. It wasn't then, but it is now. So let's jump in and share what those mistakes are.
Okay, so every good RV screw-up story starts with a poopsie. So we're just gonna go right in, and we're gonna talk about our biggest poopsie, which of course was my fault.
It's all my fault!
So there's this thing you got to do whenever you go and you clean your tanks, right? You hook up the black tank hose, and you do the little sprinkler system that goes down inside the tanks. That was her job for a long time, and it's so one day, for whatever reason, I was the one doing it, and I kind of forgot exactly the order and exactly how you're supposed to do it. So being a man, instead of actually asking a question and getting my bearings straight, I just assumed that I knew what I was doing. And one thing led to another, and I heard a scream coming from the back of the RV that had my name attached to it, and it was my wife with a blood-curdling scream telling me to turn off the water, because we have two bathrooms. We have a rear bathroom, and apparently the contents of the rear bathroom were coming up through the toilet onto the floor.
Yeah, into the garage, aka his office.
All over my carpet.
Yeah.
That I have.
Yeah, we have a carpet all over the floor in there, and to make it more like a living space, So it was I mean, I will say it was not clean water. It could have been worse, I think, but we had to pull everything out, hose and clean everything down. It took hours. And then drying everything. And so this comes to, don't get distracted when you're doing anything like that.
And if you don't know what you're doing, ask questions. Or even better, just say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. You do it. Because you do know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to lifting heavy things and putting them,
again.
That's what I'm good for, typically.
Funny now, so not funny at the time. While we're on the topic of water busting out everywhere, we also overflowed a gray tank, because back when we had a washer dryer combo unit, it was in our front cap. It was in the closet in the front, and that drains into the shower. And I forgot to open the gray tank, so it ran through its cycle, and it had nowhere to push the water to, so it just came out the front of the
right out the top
of the washer. And I walked in there. Luckily, I caught it really fast, and not that much water got down in there. But we did a little bit later find that little bit of water that got out there had fallen back behind the closet door and warped some of the wood. We had to have that fixed. So that is definitely, if you have a washer and dryer, we don't have one anymore because to me they're not worth it. But if you have a washer and dryer, please be very careful of how your tank drains. Make sure
the
it's
shower
open.
drain open.
Okay, so this next one's a little bit more serious, I guess, but it's very important to talk about. And that is, don't make the mistake of letting the stressful moments of RV life affect your relationship. Yeah, it's, there's those stressful moments happen. They happen quite often. Sometimes they're little deals, and sometimes they're like big deals. So when you're making these big mistakes, it's really easy to take it out on the other person in some way. So that is definitely a mistake we have made, and we'll probably make continually. But I think that the key is to not let it truly affect your relationship is, to say you're sorry and to, say, okay, let's chill out here. Let's just calm down and figure this out.
What we have found out is that in the first 6 months, we always say this to anybody who's interested in full-time RVing or who asks questions about this, is that the first 6 months are the toughest, because especially if you're like us and you've never RV'd before. So we uprooted our life. We sold everything. At the first year, we rented out our home back in Florida. We ended up selling it, but either way, there was really no going back home for us. And so, we were basically thrust into this life that we chose for ourselves.
Yep.
And we didn't realize that how stressful it was going to be for us individually, because each one of us were uprooting our own lives. And now, I'm working in this little bitty space, in this little bitty office space. And I left my music buddies back home. I played in a band, for 10 years. And then, now I'm traveling around the country. Plus there's the stress of moving the RV, the stress of parking the RV and backing in, things that I'm not used to doing. And, and then there's the whole, I'm sure Darlene could just list tons of stresses that she had. And so it's like, and if you don't give each other that break to realize that you're both going through an individual stressful time, and then you kind of come together and you clash because you're both trying to get through, especially when things don't go right. If you take a wrong turn and you're afraid that, you're going to bring your RV down a place where you can't turn around and you're freaking out, it's so easy to take it out on each other. And if you do that too much, we've been married for over 30 years prior to RVing. And I kind of wondered after a while if we were going to make it to 31. I mean, it's so yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time, but those moments do happen. And I think the biggest thing we've learned in the 2 years is to just, think about the other person, think about the situation, try not to take it out on each other, talk about it when you do, because it can add up and become an issue. And none of us want that. We want this life to be fun. It can't be every moment, but it's how you handle the moments that I think that make the most difference. Okay, so this next one is about listening to your gut. We made that mistake.
This is an incident that will go down in infamy with the Nicholson family.
Oh, man. Our daughter was with us on this one, and it was the first time we had ever driven. There's 2 incidents happened in one day at the same time. So we had driven in the rain all the way to this Tennessee, was just in Nashville, RV park. And I think at that point I still wasn't, it was our first couple months.
We were newbies.
Yeah. And it was our first month actually. And I still hadn't got really good at looking at Google Earth and really honing in on what the streets look like and how it's laid out, because we are a big rig, 44 feet with a long bed dually, takes up some room, and you need room to back that thing in. And this is what happened.
Yeah. So we're at this campground in Nashville, and we come up, and it's a Friday afternoon around 5 o'clock. That's going to play a part later. And so we come into this drive, and it's a what would you call that? A 90 degree angle. I mean, it's just like this. But the problem is that there were boulders, like literal huge boulders.
Don't you hate the boulders?
What's up with the boulders in the RV parks? It's like, anyway.
It's a one way. So you had to pull up. You got boulders lining one way and a blind back in on the other side. That's what we were facing.
Yeah. And so I didn't have room. It's a single lane with these boulders lining on my left side as a driver. So I didn't have room for the front of the cab of the truck to make that turn, unless I was a professional truck driver, which at that point I'm not. Still 2+ years.
3 weeks in, maybe, on our whole RV life in general. So we were not that good.
No. And so I'm trying to thread the needle there, and inevitably what happens is my brand new F-350 2022 truck just scrapes along the left side tire. The front left tire goes along these boulders, and it just rips off my hubcap, scratches the crap out of my brand new tires. And I mean, it
was painful.
It was maddening.
Yeah.
And
Those are the situations I'm talking about where you got to remain cool. That was a really hard one. We did get in there. So in order to fit the spot, we needed to unhook, right? It's a one-way out of the park. There was another way you could go, so it's not that people couldn't get by, but you're sticking out and you're blocking the whole road. It's kind of like pressure. I go to put the landing gear down so he can unhook and everything, and the panel's dead. There ain't nothing happening in that panel. And we were panicked. We're like, we just spent 45 minutes trying to get into this spot. Finally get in the spot, and we can't unhook. We can't lower our jacks.
And my truck is blocking the road.
Yeah.
And inevitably, it's like I said, it's Friday night, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever it was. People are trying to leave. They're trying to go out to dinner, whatever they're doing, and we're blocking the way. Yeah. And then I'm getting like pissed off at the people that are trying to go, and I'm just like, tell them to go around. It's just.
So in the end, longer story longer, I guess you could say. The guy, another very nice man, came over and tried to help Barry manually get the jacks down. They were trying to work on that. I did a Hail Mary into the Alliance Owners Facebook group at 5:30, 6 o'clock on a Friday, and basically did like help, kind of thing. And I tagged Bill Martin, who is their kind of like customer service director or whatever. He's the guy, he's the face, he's what everyone knows. He listens, he's really a great guy. We met him once. But I just thought, okay, I'll just see if he even sees this. Anybody at Alliance sees this, because they're closed, they didn't answer. I would say within 10 minutes, and I put my phone number in the post, which I don't recommend that normally, but I was desperate.
Hey, man.
He called me. He called me within 10 minutes and said, how can I help? And I told him what was going on, and basically said, your panel got water behind it. It shorted itself out. You need to get it dry, and it'll come back on. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
and
you basically have to, because it's sealed, you would have to remove it. And he said, take a hairdryer and blow dry it out, because it was the first time I'd ever traveled in the rain. We probably had a 3-hour drive of just hard rain, and a little moisture had gotten back there and made it short out.
Yeah. So big plus that's why we picked Alliance, because we had heard that kind of stuff. Bill Martin, big plus. And, the overall lesson learned in this is knowing what I know now, what we know now, we would have marched right back up to that office and asked for a different spot.
Yeah.
Avoid that if you can.
Yeah. If you're in a situation, there was no need for me to damage my truck, and inevitably nothing is cheap on these new trucks, right? I mean, I think it was literally $160 to replace the wheel cover.
I thought it was more than that. I don't know.
I don't know,
something like
but
close.
I don't know. I usually, when something hurts that bad to pay it, I usually remember it forever.
Oh.
And yeah, it was just painful because it was so unnecessary.
We could have saved time, frustration, and money had we just went up and go, do you have another spot?
And if they didn't have another spot, guess what?
We probably should have left.
Went down the road. See, but we were new, and Darlene had booked everything in advance, and
we were not boondocking or set up to do it at that point.
Yeah, she's just thinking, and your mindset when you're new is, oh my God, but what if we have to leave this campground and I can't find another one? There's always another one.
Yeah, you might only get it for a night, and we were obviously staying there longer than that, but now I would never have tried to get in that spot. So there's your lesson. Don't do what we did.
Okay, another big mistake that we made is we went to southern Indiana during tornado season. We found out the hard way that it was tornado season. We had no idea, and we're from Indiana originally. We lived there. We were born and raised in Evansville, Indiana. And if you want to go back and watch one of our videos, I'm sure she'll put the link in up here. We had 2 tornadoes in one day.
Yeah.
No joke. Within 5 miles of where the RV was, they landed twice in one day. Thank God it didn't cause any damage, but still, but what we felt like after the fact was, wow, we probably could
have picked a better time to come.
Yeah, we lived in Florida. There's such a thing as a hurricane season in Florida. Well, apparently there's also such a thing as a tornado season in southern Indiana. Yeah. And that's when we decided to go visit home. Yeah,
so I guess the mistake, I think, in the first 2 years, I would say this year we've been a little bit better about it, is looking ahead at weather when we're going places. When is it going to turn really cold in the mountains? You can't always know exactly, but if you have at least a backup plan, then you can make some changes on the fly. But that's not something that was even on our radar at the very beginning, was weather. So weather is super important. That video is definitely worth watching because I go over all kinds of weather related things you need to know, apps you can use, and information that will help you not do what we did.
Okay, so here's another one. One of our favorite trips actually was we went to the New Orleans area, but we were actually camped at a hip camp location across Lake Pontchartrain from New Orleans in this very unique spot. So if you can imagine,
I think it was called Bayou Lancôme.
Lancôme Bayou. Anyway, so if you can imagine, you're in the bayou, so there's literally pretty much swamps on both sides of you, and there's this long stretch of road that goes out, and it just kind of dead ends. It has a circle at the end, and there's this little, it's like a fish camp area, and he had 3 or 4 he actually had 50 amp hookups. Now, again, we were still somewhat new at that point. It took me a while to get parked and all that, but the guy was there, super nice guy, and I realized that his electric, there was something wrong with his electric.
I think you put the power watchdog in, and
I put the power watchdog in, and here's a big tip for you. Always plug in, if you have a power watch, if you don't have a power watchdog, you don't have a surge protector, what are you thinking? You
have some sort of surge protector.
Yeah, you got to have one. Okay, so you plug in the power watchdog, but you don't have your RV hooked up to it yet. Basically, let that be your first line of defense, and you plug it in and you turn it on. The reason you do that because you want the watchdog to check the power. And as soon as I did that, it showed up red, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it has a dog. It looks literally a light up dog face on the front of the bulldog, and it's like white when it's good, and then red when it's bad.
Yeah. So he had a ground issue. I think he basically said, and again, it's like on a weekend, he's like, man, I need to get an electrician out here to fix that. So why don't you go ahead and, I don't have anybody at this next pedestal, and I think I can get you an extension. At the time, we didn't have a long enough extension.
Yeah.
We actually there was another RVer down the way. He let us borrow one of his cables. We put the two together, plugged into the pedestal next to us. Everything worked great. We were there for a week or two and had a great time. Problem was, when we left, we didn't really think through the electric and all that. We left our cable there. And I think we left our power watchdog there.
Yeah, big deal. So the lesson is, whenever you leave a camp spot, no matter what it is, whether you're boondocking, at an RV park, or like we were at this independent, your Harvest Host would be similar. When you pull away, well, 2 things. Actually, before you pull away, you should do a walk around, make sure nothing's still hooked up. When you pull away,
that your slides are in,
that
your awnings are in,
you're unplugged from the electric. We heard someone's story where they drove off and they pulled the whole pedestal because that was the last thing they should have done. But so do the walk around before you pull away. Everything looks good. Pull away, pull down a little ways, and then someone get out and walk the whole spot where you were. Look in the grass. Look by the pedestal, look in weird places, because you'd be surprised a lot of times if we have projects we're working on, we had set things off in maybe high brush or something like that, and it got hidden and we didn't see it. Had we done that when we left that spot, we would have seen that we had left something there. But
now, didn't he call us?
He called us. We got about, 25 minutes down the road.
Yeah, and we were a long way.
25 or 30 minutes.
And this road being in what it was so hard to get in and out of,
with the rig. Yeah.
With the rig. So we get 25 minutes down the highway. So I had to pull over on the side of the road in some church parking lot. And we unhitched. I left her and Hugo there. I drove all the way back, just in the truck, and then got the stuff and came all the way back.
$400-500 worth of equipment.
Easy.
I mean, come on. So it's better.
We didn't have a power cable. How are we gonna?
We're not gonna unplug. So this is a great example of some dumb stuff that we did that we now have a system to not let that dumb stuff happen anymore. And you should do that stuff too, because double checking takes 2 seconds.
Don't be like us.
Don't be like us otherwise. All right, so this next one is more lesson learned than anything. Is you gotta watch your tank pulls and how you treat them and how you push them in and out, because we broke two.
And of course, it's the black ones.
Of course it is.
Not the gray ones, not the shower, the black ones. Okay, let me explain. So you've got the pole, right, that releases your waste. That's what we call it anyway. Maybe it has a different name. But one thing you may notice is that there's really soft metal. I don't know what it's made of. I'm not a metal guy, but I just know that it's like really soft and super easy to bend. And if you pull it out and then you put any kind of pressure on it up or down, it's probably going to bend slightly. And then if you're kind of sloppy about the way that you push it back in, it may get stuck.
Yeah.
Either get stuck going in or you can't get it out all the way. So,
and this can cost you big. Like
Yeah.
we had to have mobile techs come out both times and help us repair them. They were in really weird spots. We tried to kind of get in there and see if we could just replace the actual end of the pole, and we couldn't. They had to cut the whole underbelly open and get in there and pull and take the whole thing out and put a new one in.
Yeah, it was an ordeal.
Yeah.
So all I can say is I have become super sensitive to not doing that anymore and being very careful with how I pull them out and most importantly, how I push them back in. I literally use the flat of my hand, and I always spray a lubricant. I use that T9. I love the T9. I think it works. Bow Shield T9. It's good stuff. We'll put the link in the description below. But you just make sure you're pushing it in straight. And if you have anybody who you're not used to, like maybe you have a teenager or a grandchild,
you're gonna let your kid pull it.
Don't
do that
because it's just not worth. You got to make sure whoever's doing it knows what they're doing.
And I know I'm going to get a ton of comments. Why don't you get electric ones?
They're too expensive.
Yeah, we looked into it, and honestly, it's just not.
Because we have 4, and they're like $250 a piece. That's not installed.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to install one of those nasty things. No way.
We're just not going to do it.
So if you get an RV, I think some of the Brinkleys and some of the newer RVs actually have those electric ones.
That's a plus.
That's a pretty good feature, but yeah.
We're not going to go there at this point. Not with this rig. Another mistake I think that we made, but it was unknowingly made because you don't know what you don't know, is not getting solar and batteries so that we can boondock from the start.
Yeah. Okay, now I know this is kind of a controversial topic, okay, because there's a lot of people that have the mindset that they are not boondockers. They think of themselves as being campground people, and that's just fine. But there's only one problem with that, which is when you're thinking about this lifestyle, because this is about full-time RVing, okay? This is about, basically cutting the cord and going out there and saying, if this all works out for the next 3 to 5, maybe more years, I'm going to be living in an RV and traveling around the country doing whatever. That means that if you don't have a situation where you can power yourself or live off grid with your own water or live off grid with your own waste management system, that means you're going to be 100% dependent upon RV campgrounds. And we all know that RV campgrounds are not getting any cheaper.
No. Yeah. I mean, even since a little over 2 years is what we've been on the road. When we started, we could find some RV parks for, like a resort, a nicer place, not a state park, for $40 maybe. Anymore, especially in a lot of the areas that we've been in lately, they're wanting 60, 75, for basic spots. And so it is going up across the board. There is absolutely no doubt. Can you find cheaper? Yes. We actually just found something in Arizona for $25. I about jumped through the roof.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I hadn't seen
you immediately start thinking, what's wrong with this
for
place?
full hookups in forever.
Yeah.
That is a rare thing.
Yeah.
Normally you're going to pay at least $45, $50, unless you're staying extended periods in a place, which we don't do that. It's not the style that we do. But the thing is, if you're just, I mean, you know yourself, if you're never ever going to want, you know, to be not have hookups and all the conveniences, that's fine. Don't worry about that. But we had no idea. What we didn't know is that we loved it. We loved the freedom. We loved being at the very beginning. We weren't even set up with an inverter to be able to stay at a harvest host and use our coffee pot. So, I mean, that was, if I had at least known that and understood what we needed to just do the basic stuff, at least we would have gotten a basic package. Well, we didn't know that when we got the RV. It wasn't even in our radar. So we just didn't even pay attention to the solar and the batteries and how we were set up. I really wish we had done our homework so that we maybe could have at least gotten the basics, even if we didn't have boondocking on our radar. But what we did find is now that we've moved to a good part of the year being off grid and on our own, how much money we saved and how much more we love RVing when we are able to have the freedom and be in nature and away from people and not on top of people where everybody's around it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at, we have one of our most popular videos is our budget for the first year. In fact, I think it is our most popular video, and it's because people like to watch it and then they make fun of us.
Yeah.
Because we spent a small fortune on RV campgrounds because we weren't equipped to do anything else.
Yeah, we didn't know what we didn't know. I mean, so it's amazing how much our budget has changed from when we started to now. We've changed a lot of the ways that we do things. But that's just one area where I kind of wish we would have paid a lot more attention to what we got with our RV when we purchased it, which was at least some ability to go off grid and use batteries and more off solar if we needed to. So
yeah, I mean, if you at least have the option of not having to pay for a campground, just like,
it's nice to have that option.
I mean, it is really nice, and the choices are immense, especially if you come out west.
Yeah,
I mean, they're just everywhere. There's so much government land and all that out here, and so many different places you can stay, and so much beauty out there, and the weather can be really, really nice.
Yeah.
And you don't even need to turn on air conditioning most of the time. I mean, there's so much to it, and it's freedom. It gives you the freedom to not have to be at a campground at a certain time, not have to leave at a certain time. I mean, most of the time, yeah, you got to leave within 14 days, but you don't have anybody waiting.
Not 11 o'clock, check
Got somebody
out.
waiting for your spot. I don't know if you've ever had that happen. You like somebody shows up early and waiting for you to leave. None of that kind of stuff happens. You got plenty of space around. You've got a big open space where you can usually just kind of camp and make it your own. I mean, it's so much freedom to it as well. So
don't make the mistake that we did by being oblivious to that kind of stuff when you especially if you're purchasing a new or used RV. Decide, you know, I think you should have some sort of basic way of being self-sufficient, whether it's a harvest host or boondocking. Even if you're not too sure about it, it'll be a really nice thing to have in your back pocket.
We hope you've liked this video, and we will hear now. Okay, we've shown you ours. You need to show us yours. So leave us your comments, your mistakes in the comments below. We want to read and laugh at you. Yes, we are going to laugh at you because I'm sure that
we're going to learn from you, like you're learning from us. You're not laughing at us, right?
They are laughing at us.
Yeah, it's okay. But we do appreciate you watching. Be sure to like and subscribe our channel. We love bringing you these kind of videos and sharing what it's really like out here in the full-time lifestyle, and even if it's laughing at us at our expense, but that's okay. Thanks for coming. Bye.